Hey, welcome everybody to today's podcast episode. I was having a conversation with some of our students in sales school last week about how to handle mid-call objections. A mid-call objection is essentially anything that disrupts the process or the plan for the call. And so when we are leading the call well, this doesn't happen very often. If we've got a great pre-frame and we're in rapport and our art of influence, our leadership voice is coming through, people will usually sit back and relax and enjoy the sales call and let us lead. But occasionally, people disrupt the harmony of the sales call. And I consider that a mid-call objection. There's nothing wrong with this. It's okay when it happens. Like all objections, we want to receive it with grace, without panic, and to just operate like a professional, like a leader when it happens, right? And so we talk in mid-call objections how to validate the objection that someone has and how to clarify and make sure that we're clear on what the objection is and how to oftentimes explain, but first to explore. And that was really the language that came through as we were talking about this. So I'm talking about this concept, and I think it was Liz Cryan, who's in our sales school, who came through with different language than what I was saying. I was saying that maybe we want to clarify the objection or get curious or ask some questions, and then we want to explain what's happening. And so how I might respond to an objection in the middle of the call, an example of this would be somebody who says, well, how much is this going to cost me, right after we pre-frame the conversation? In which case I'm going to say something like, I totally get it. That's a great question. If I were you, I'd probably be asking the same thing. How much is this going to cost me? And the reality is I'm not sure how much this is going to cost yet until we get to know each other a little bit better and figure out whether or not we should work together. I've worked with people and supported them for free through resources like our podcast. And I've had people pay hundreds of dollars, people pay thousands of dollars. And I've had companies pay tens of thousands of dollars to have our group come and do sales for them for a week. We've been paid as much as 80 grand to do sales for a company over the course of a weekend. So it's probably somewhere between 0 and 80,000. But I won't know until I get to know you better. Are you open to having an honest conversation and evaluating whether or not it's a fit with clarity by the end of this call? So that's how I'm oftentimes going to handle a mid-call objection. The other thing that can happen is a mid-call objection that's not spoken, but it's felt. You feel that somebody's in a rush. You begin to feel that you're out of rapport, or that somebody's not really listening or paying attention or all the way there with you. Or maybe they're a little bit hesitant or skeptical. And so in that case, I want to clarify. I want to make sure I know what the objection is. So I might just say, hey, can we just pause for a second? I feel like I'm noticing you're in a bit of a rush. Do you have time for this call right now? That's what I'm looking to clarify. Or, hey, can we just pause for a second? I feel like I'm noticing some hesitancy from you to answer some of these questions, which makes a lot of sense because we barely know each other. I'm asking you some personal questions on this call, but I just want to check in on that and give them an opportunity to explain what's going on. And so that was the kind of conversation we were having. The lesson we were teaching on last week is how to respond to this mid-call objection. And great language came through Liz, which was explore and then explain. Explore and then explain. And as I thought about this idea of explore and then explain, which is a great way to clarify the steps of the process in responding to a mid-call objection, which is to validate the objection, explore, and then explain. I really liked the opportunity to bring those words together. It just felt so right. But then I considered them even further, and a recognition that I had was, wow, like this is true in so many other parts of the sales conversation, so many other parts of leading a coaching business, so many other parts of life. And it's been part of the conversation around my business in a few different ways recently, but really in a few different ways since the beginning of Faith2Influence. And one of them is recognizing that our sales process, the way we design our 10-step sales process, it's designed to explore and then explain. So many sales processes are designed to share features and benefits, and you have to sell yourself, and you're sharing your resume, and you're talking all about your program from the get-go. puts a lot of pressure on you, the coach, and it doesn't honor the attention needed on the other side of the conversation. And so what we teach is to make the first 9 steps of the sales conversation really about the other person. And then in step 10 to explain and make your offer. And that whole process could be described as exploring and then explaining and just getting things in their proper order. And this is also true of the coaching conversation. One of the things I've recognized recently is, I've got a coaching skill set and I can be an effective coach for people. But one of my favorite things to do is be a trainer. And I'm starting to recognize the difference between coaching and training, and to see that there are times when I'm a great coach and it's appropriate for me to be a great coach and to lean into that skill set of asking great questions. And there are other times in which I'm a trainer. I love to lead a group class and teach and train on a skill set or an idea or a process. And so what I know is that when we are coaching, if we're doing it well, we're exploring and then explaining. Exploring is the priority, asking question. And then it's either a process of our client who we're coaching, then explaining through the answers to our questions, the direction that they want to go in. The most pure, true form of coaching in the marketplace is probably just that. We are exploring through great questions, and the client is explaining, solving their own problem, and committing to the solution. We're just a facilitator of a great conversation and asking of the right questions. In training, of course, we're oftentimes explaining, and then there might be exploration after that, Q&A, application questions, things like that. When we teach and train, and we've oftentimes done it in a teach, journal, share format. If you come to our summer conference, Christian Coaches Academy Live, we'd love for you to be there, by the way. If you come to our conference, you're going to have that experience of teach, journal, share with some of our content. So we're explaining and then exploring in the training process. And then sometimes it's something in between, where it's not pure coaching, where it's only asking questions, and it's not pure training, where it's primarily providing information, but it's something in the middle. Certain forms of coaching are going to include an exploration of the problem and an asking of questions and a conversation that's then followed by some explanation of strategy and ideas that are coming together from maybe a recommendation from the coach. And so there's different ways to do this, but I just thought this idea of exploring and then explaining was so helpful, so valuable. I know that this is something I could use more of in my personal life as well. I'd love to explore and then explain more often with my wife and with my kids. If I've got something to share or something to say, I don't want to fall in love with my own voice too much. I want to ask questions first, explore further before getting into the explaining side of things. And it's just a good reminder for me. I thought it might be a good reminder for some of you as well. So in our sales conversations, in our coaching conversations, in our romantic relationships, in our friendships, in our parenting, can we explore and then explain? And I'll share one more cool idea that I received from Trent Booth at our mastermind retreat we held a couple of weeks ago. Trent said, as a dad, one of the things that he's done is asked his daughters, when they're sharing something, they're going through something, they're sharing a situation, he asks, do you need to be helped, hugged, or heard right now? Helped, hugged, or heard. And to me, that is exploration. So I might be quick if somebody asks me a question to give the answer, to explain, right? But what Trent does in his wisdom with his kids is explore first and then explain only if invited. Do you want to be helped, hugged, or heard? So if they say hugged or heard, he's not going to explain at all. He's just going to have that exploration, and then he's going to listen, or he's going to hug. And on the flip side, in some of these cases, his daughter's going to say, actually, I want to be helped with this. And so then there might be exploration followed by explaining. I think that was a really cool idea as well. Do you want to be helped, hugged, or heard? Let's explore and then explain as coaches and as leaders. I hope this is helpful and inspiring to you all as it was for me. Thank you to Liz and Trent for great conversations and inspiring good ideas and getting my mind working. I love working with amazing clients like you. God bless you all, my friends. If you haven't signed up yet, join us at Christian Coaches Academy Live in June in Milwaukee. We've got big discounts on our tickets. You can go to christiancoachesacademylive.com. I'll put it in the show notes as well, christiancoachesacademylive.com, and sign up to join us for 3 days. We're going to cover a ton of food for you. We're going to give you a ticket to Summerfest, the biggest music festival in the world. We've got great speakers. You're going to have an opportunity to learn from me about business design, pricing, sales, all the strategies that helped us do 250 grand in revenue my first year in business and the things that we've learned and employed since then. And you're going to have the opportunity to network with incredible Christian coaches. We only have 100 tickets for this conference. We want you, the listeners of our podcast, to collect your tickets to be a part of this experience with us. Go to christiancoachesacademylive.com. I hope to see you there. Talk to you all soon. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.